The President of the United States, Donald Trump, has linked renewed demands over Greenland and sharp criticism of the Nobel Peace Prize process to rising diplomatic tensions with key European allies. In a direct message to Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre, President Trump stated that he no longer feels obligated to focus solely on peace after not receiving the Nobel Peace Prize last year, a statement that has drawn attention across diplomatic and defense circles. The message, sent amid growing disagreement between Washington and several NATO members, has highlighted disputes involving Greenland's status, alliance unity, trade tariffs, and Trump's long-standing desire to receive the prestigious international award. According to the message, President Trump blamed Norway for his failure to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, despite the prize being awarded by an independent committee. Prime Minister Støre responded by clarifying that the Norwegian government does not control the Nobel Peace Prize process, and that the decision is made by a separate body. The award last October went to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. The exchange occurred against a backdrop of heightened geopolitical strain, particularly surrounding Greenland, the Arctic territory that remains part of the Kingdom of Denmark but holds strategic and military significance. In the same communication to Norway's Prime Minister, President Trump reiterated his position that the United States requires what he described as complete and total control of Greenland. Greenland is a sparsely populated but resource-rich Arctic island that is semi-autonomous under Danish sovereignty. When later questioned about whether the United States might use force to seize the territory, President Trump responded with the words, "No comment," a reply that added to the uncertainty surrounding U.S. intentions. Denmark, a founding member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is bound by the alliance's core principle of collective defense, which holds that an attack on one member is considered an attack on all. Since NATO's establishment in 1949, no member state has carried out a military attack against another. Danish officials have warned that any U.S. military action in Greenland would effectively bring NATO to an end, a position that has received support from several European allies. In recent days, a number of NATO members sent small groups of troops to Greenland in what has been widely described as a symbolic deployment intended to demonstrate unity and deterrence. Following that move, President Trump announced plans to impose a 10% tariff on goods from 8 NATO allies, including the United Kingdom, starting from the 1st of February. He stated that the tariff could rise to 25% by June if those countries opposed his proposed takeover of Greenland. The announcement added an economic dimension to the dispute and intensified concerns among European governments about the stability of transatlantic relations. It was during this period of escalating tension that Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre reached out to President Trump on behalf of himself and Finland's President Alexander Stubb. In their message, the two leaders urged restraint and called for de-escalation, stating that current global events made unity among allies more important than ever. They emphasized the need to stand together at a time when international security challenges continue to grow. President Trump's response to that appeal contained some of his strongest language yet. He wrote that, in his view, Norway's decision not to award him the Nobel Peace Prize meant he no longer felt bound to think purely in terms of peace, although he added that peace would remain predominant. He stated that he would now also consider what he described as what is good and proper for the United States. In the same message, Trump argued that Denmark could not adequately protect Greenland from potential threats posed by Russia or China. He questioned Denmark's claim to ownership of the territory, saying there were no written documents to support it, and asserting that historical landings by boats did not establish a clear right. President Trump further claimed that he has done more for NATO than any individual since its founding and said the alliance should now take action in support of the United States. He concluded his message by stating that the world would not be secure unless the United States had complete and total control of Greenland. These remarks have been closely examined by analysts and officials across NATO countries, given the alliance's reliance on cooperation and mutual trust. Greenland's strategic importance has long been recognized due to its location in the Arctic. The island plays a key role in early warning systems for missile detection and in monitoring maritime activity in the region. Its natural resources and geographic position have made it a focal point in discussions about Arctic security and global defense planning. Against this background, reactions from European leaders have been swift. The United Kingdom's Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, stated that any decision regarding Greenland's future status belongs solely to the people of Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark. He also described the use of tariffs against allied nations as wrong. On the same day, Denmark's Defense Minister Troels Lund Poulsen and Greenland's Foreign Affairs Minister Vivian Motzfeldt met with NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte. The meeting followed a decision by Danish and Greenlandic authorities, together with NATO allies, to increase military presence and conduct additional exercises in the Arctic and the North Atlantic. Several European states participated by sending small numbers of military personnel to Greenland as part of what was described as a reconnaissance mission. Alongside the Greenland dispute, President Trump's comments have renewed attention on his pursuit of the Nobel Peace Prize. He has openly expressed his desire to receive the award and has insisted that Norway exerts full control over the process, despite official statements to the contrary. In an interview with NBC News, he stated that Norway totally controls the Nobel Prize and dismissed claims that the government has no involvement. President Trump has argued that he deserves the prize for ending 8 wars since the beginning of his second term as president last year. The White House has previously identified these conflicts as involving Israel and Hamas, Israel and Iran, Pakistan and India, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, Thailand and Cambodia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Serbia and Kosovo. These claims have been examined by BBC Verify, which noted that some of the conflicts cited were brief and stemmed from long-standing tensions, while in other cases there was no active fighting to end. It also noted that fighting has continued between Rwanda and the DRC despite a signed peace agreement. The Nobel Peace Prize awarded last October went to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. After U.S. forces later seized and removed Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro from Caracas, accusing him of drug trafficking and other crimes, President Trump did not endorse Machado as the country's next leader. Instead, he backed Maduro's vice president as interim head of government. Machado, who has spoken positively about Trump, met him at the White House last week and presented her medal to him. The Nobel Foundation has stated that the award cannot be transferred or redistributed, even symbolically. As diplomatic reactions continue and tensions remain high, the developments surrounding Greenland, NATO relations, and President Trump's Nobel Peace Prize claims have placed renewed focus on the direction of U.S. foreign policy and its impact on long-standing alliances. In the next part of this report, we will take a closer look at the unfolding diplomatic responses, the broader implications for NATO unity, and the detailed sequence of events that have shaped this escalating dispute.